Hello, and welcome to Classic Movie Recaps. Thank you for watching this video. Just a reminder, if you enjoy our content, remember to like the video, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel for more sexy favors. Now without further ado, let's begin. Today we are recapping the classic movie, A Prayer Before Dawn, where an aspiring boxer on vacation is sent to the worst prison in Thailand, and must quickly learn the ropes in order to survive. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. The movie begins as our protagonist, Billy Moore, is preparing for a boxing match in Thailand. Billy is an amateur boxer, and is quite talented, but is struggling with an addiction to illicit substances. He makes his way to the ring, and the fight begins, but it's a hard one, and his opponent is strong, so he ends up losing the match. After the event, Billy is tired and worn out, so he attends a club to buy more tasty treats, before winding down and watching the dancing girls on stage. At the end of the night, Billy heads back to his apartment, but is startled when the police suddenly raid the residence, finding a gun as well as illicit substances, so they arrest him. He is taken to the police station and questioned, before being placed on a bus which will take him to prison. He soon arrives at the infamous Kong Prem prison in Bangkok, still unable to believe what is happening, and during his processing, he is secretly handed more illicit substances by a guard, revealing the corruption inside Kong Prem. Billy is then escorted with the other new inmates to his new home, and we can see that conditions here are appalling, with prisoners living in squalor and overcrowding out of control. While lying down in his cell, Billy is going through withdrawals, but is approached by a transgender, who tells him that the inmate next to him has passed away, again showing the lack of control guards have in the facility. The next morning the inmates are told the rules, before being led back to their units, sleeping side by side in cramped spaces like animals. We also see Billy trying to get water from a single tap, and it's every man for himself, with inmates struggling to fill their bottles, and the frustration causes Billy to erupt in anger, starting a fight with another inmate, and as punishment, he is taken to a small cell, which is more like a cage, and spends the night there. The next day, Billy is transferred to another unit, reserved for the worst prisoners, active gang members and murderers, and it's easy to see that Billy will have a difficult time. He is questioned by the boss of the unit, who asks him what his name is, if he has money, and if he works, so Billy tells him he's a boxer, and the gang boss orders him to do push-ups, while the other inmates toy with him. Billy stands up for himself and almost gets into a fight, before the prisoners tell him where he will sleep, and let him smoke a cigarette, while the boss continues processing the new arrivals. It's a dangerous unit, with fights constantly breaking out, but a hierarchy is in place, so the boss manages to control the violence. During the night, Billy gets up to relieve himself, but is jumped by an inmate with a shiv, who then forces him to watch a sexy favor taking place, and then warning him to keep quiet. The next morning, the unit is woken up by officers, who enter the room and find that a prisoner has been hanged, when another inmate approaches Billy, staring him down, subtly warning him not to step out of line or he'll be next. We then cut to Billy going to the infirmary to get painkillers, as he has been having headaches, but the guard on duty refuses to provide them, attempting to extort money from him. Billy tells him that painkillers are free, refusing to be extorted, but again the guard denies him the medicine, causing Billy to react violently, which ends up getting Billy beat up by the guards. When he wakes up, he is in solitary, but is comforted by a woman, while he dozes in and out of consciousness. He is then released from solitary and returns to his unit, when the inmates head to the yard to wash themselves. His only solace during this time is using, so he sneaks off to smoke with some other prisoners, as he sinks deeper into addiction. Store day comes, and Billy approaches the teller, who introduces herself as Fame. He asks for some cigarettes, but reveals he has no money or family to pay them back, so asks her for a favor, which she accepts. She loans him the cigarettes, which he uses to barter, making his life a little easier on the inside. Later that night, inmates remove a fan blade, and while they are sleeping, the alarm sounds, and officers raid the unit. It appears that some officers have been taken out, so the unit is brought outside to be searched. During the search, officers find illicit substance in Billy's clothes, which turn out to belong to another inmate. He begs the sergeant to believe him, and in desperation shows them that the shirt doesn't fit him, so the officers take the prisoner next to him for punishment, which is heard throughout the prison on the loudspeakers. The next day in the chow hall, Billy sees the guard that snuck him illicit substances when he was processed, and asks for more, but later after he's finished with it, some inmates try to take it from him, but he's saved by another prisoner. In the next scene, Billy is sinking deeper into his addiction, and begs the guard for some medicine. The guard then asks Billy to beat up some prisoners for him in exchange, which Billy initially refuses, but desperate to escape reality, he does the job, beating up the 2 inmates so he can continue his habit. During the night, however, unable to deal with his situation, he attempts to take his own life, but is saved by a friend. We then see Billy receiving a visit from his old sparring partner, who gives him words of encouragement, which Billy takes to heart, so he chooses to get back into boxing, which will straighten him out and keep him on the right path. After the visit, he attends the boxing hall, where prisoners are practicing their techniques and training, so he asks the trainer to let him in, telling him that he's a boxer, but the trainer refuses. He tells Billy to go away, as he sees him as a waste of time, likely unwilling to put in the effort required to be a serious boxer. Billy then makes a visit to Fame, and apologizes for not paying her back for the cigarettes he borrowed, but asks for more, telling her that he plans to change his life through boxing, so she reluctantly gives in, seeing that there's still hope in Billy. The next day, he takes the cigarettes to the trainer, to show that he's committed, so he's accepted into the boxing hall. Billy then begins a regular training routine, and it's clear that he has a lot of anger inside, but not enough self-control, which makes him a joke among the boxers. Later that day, back in his unit, the gangsters are gambling with fighting fish, and seeing an opportunity to pay back Fame, Billy bets all his cigarettes. Luckily, he wins the bet, but the bookie refuses to pay him, seeing Billy as a foreigner he can push over. Billy erupts in anger, causing a confrontation, but the gang boss breaks it up, forcing the bookie to pay Billy what he's owed, so he goes to pay back Fame. During their meeting, Billy tells her that he has family, but has been lying to everyone to protect them. Fame appreciates his honesty, so they share a moment, as Billy is thirsty for a sexy favor. Billy continues to train, and things are finally looking up for him, as the other boxers begin to accept him, helping him to work on his technique and teaching him how to kick. After a few days of hard training, a weigh-in takes place, and a fight is organized between Billy and another inmate, which Billy manages to win, solidifying his reputation as a solid fighter in the prison, and showing the boxers what he's capable of. A few days later, Billy is invited to the warden's office, where he is told that he has been selected to compete in a national tournament, representing the prison. Billy accepts the offer to fight, but before leaving, he is given some letters from his family which were previously withheld, so he thanks the warden and leaves. We then cut to Billy leaving his unit, as he is being transferred to the boxers unit, and it's clear that some gangsters are jealous, as boxers are given more privileges. Time passes, and Billy continues to train for the upcoming tournament. Over time, he gets better acquainted with the other boxers, who now fully accept him as one of their own, tattooing his back with a tiger as a sign of respect in the prison culture, and he even gets a sexy favor from Fame. Later in the boxers unit, a fight breaks out, and Billy still struggles to fight his addiction, so he goes to see Fame, but she's with another prisoner, so he erupts in anger, yelling through the fence before leaving. Later at the boxing hall, he takes his anger out on his sparring partner, and is punished by the guards, who place him in a single cell to cool off. After a few days, Billy returns to the boxers unit, and a fight breaks out due to Billy losing control in the ring, but he apologizes for his behavior, which the other inmates accept. In the next scene, we see the boxers joking around and pillow fighting, which Billy enjoys, showing that he is starting to come to terms with his time there, and is comfortable in the unit. During the night, there is also a performance from the ladies of the prison, and Fame uses it as an opportunity to apologize to Billy through song, which he accepts. The following morning, Billy is outside washing himself when he is confronted by the gangsters who ask him for money he owes. He tells them he doesn't have anything, but they hold him down, filling up a needle with blood, and threatening to give him AIDS. He tells them he has a fight coming up, which he believes he'll win, making himself some money, so they agree to let him live, but tell him that if he loses, he dies. Billy continues to train before the upcoming match, but something goes wrong during training, and he vomits on himself. He leaves the ring and vomits blood, before visiting the doctor the next day, who tells him that his addiction has caused terrible damage to his body, and he could die if he continues to fight. Billy refuses to accept the facts, and continues to train, believing that the tournament is his only opportunity to prove himself to his fellow inmates, and hopefully get out of the prison, and he's going to take it. The day of the tournament finally arrives, and Billy prepares himself before heading to the ring. It is a big event, and many people have gathered to watch the fight. He steps in the ring, and both fighters steel themselves before it begins, with the crowd cheering in the background. Billy seems to be out of his depth during the boxing match, and begins to lose the fight, but miraculously, he turns things around and eventually knocks his opponent out. The crowd roars at Billy's achievement, as he looks around, unable to believe that he's won, and feeling the high from winning the victory. He looks at the warden, and he gives Billy a thumbs up, but Billy feels unwell, and suddenly vomits blood, before passing out, and being driven to the hospital. The next day, Billy wakes up in a hospital bed, and gets out of bed to find a toilet, but when he's done, he decides to wander off, realizing that there is hardly any security at the hospital. He walks through the hospital and sees that there is a single guard at the hospital's main entrance, but that's about it, so he takes his chance, and leaves the hospital, with chains around his ankles. Miraculously, he makes it out of the hospital and walks through the streets, enjoying a taste of freedom while traveling through the city, eventually making his way onto train tracks. Suddenly though, he looks ahead, and realizes that he is not willing to waste the opportunity he had by winning the tournament, accepting his fate, and returns to his hospital bed, with no one even noticing he was gone. In the next scene, we see the day of Billy's release has finally come, and he is being processed out of the prison, escorted by guards to the prison's exit, before being taken to the prison gates, where his father is waiting on the other side, and they share a moment, staring at each other. It is then revealed that his father is the real William Billy Moore, and this was a true story, before the movie ends. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. Have a fantastic day.